Let's talk about Venus. It's our planetary neighbor, and for a long time, we've called it Earth's twin. But the moment you look a little closer, that whole comparison just falls apart. What you find instead is a world of insane temperatures, crushing pressure, and some truly bizarre mysteries. So we're going to dive in and investigate how our sister planet became this cosmic cautionary tale. So let's kick things off with that twin comparison. Why do we even call it that in the first place? Well, at a glance, the family resemblance is pretty undeniable. But as you're about to see, it is absolutely only skin deep. I mean, if you just look at the stats, they're practically identical. They're both rocky planets, almost the exact same size and mass, and they're made of the same basic stuff. They really did start out as planetary siblings, born from the same cloud of gas and dust. You'd think they'd be a lot alike, right? But yeah, something somewhere along the way went horribly wrong. Venus took a hard right turn down a very different path, and it transformed from what could have been a paradise into the most hostile planet in our entire solar system. Let's start with what it's like on the ground. First off, the temperature is a staggering 460 degrees Celsius. I mean, that's hot enough to melt lead. And get this, it's actually hotter than Mercury, even though Mercury is way closer to the sun. The reason for this? It's all because of a runaway greenhouse effect. Its atmosphere is incredibly thick, mostly carbon dioxide, and it just trapped all the sun's heat. It created this vicious feedback loop that literally boiled its oceans away and baked the surface rock solid. And hey, if the scorching heat doesn't get you, the pressure certainly will. The atmosphere at the surface is over 90 times heavier than what we feel here on Earth. Standing on Venus would feel like being crushed nearly a kilometer deep in our own ocean. Just unimaginable. So, as you can probably guess, the key to this whole hellish environment is its atmosphere. It's this thick, toxic blanket that has just gone completely out of control, and it holds some of the planet's biggest and weirdest secrets. Okay, so here's our first big clue in this whole cosmic mystery. The entire atmosphere is spinning around the planet at a mind-boggling speed. It's a phenomenon scientists call superrotation, and honestly, there's nothing else like it in our solar system. To really get your head around that, just look at these numbers. The planet itself, the solid ground, takes a super slow 243 Earth days just to spend one time. That's longer than its entire year. But the clouds of sulfuric acid in the upper atmosphere, they just whip around the whole planet in only 4 days. 4! It's incredible! So what's powering this insane atmospheric speed? Well, scientists think the engine is something called thermal tides. Basically, think of it like this. The intense heat from the sun on the daytime side of Venus causes the atmosphere to expand, creating these massive planet-wide waves of pressure. And these waves just constantly push the clouds along, keeping that wild superrotation going. Okay, so you think a runaway atmosphere is weird? Well, hold on, because the way the planet itself spins, that's a whole other level of bizarre. We're talking about a day that happens in reverse. Yep. You heard that right. On Venus, the sun rises in the west and sets in the east. So not only is a single day on the planet longer than its entire year, but the whole planet is spinning backwards compared to Earth and almost every other planet. The technical term for this is retrograde motion. While pretty much every other planet spins counterclockwise, Venus just decided to go its own way and spin clockwise. Which, of course, leads to the obvious question: how on earth does an entire planet start spinning the wrong way? Well, right now we've got two main theories. Theory one is straight out of a disaster movie. A giant object, maybe the size of a small planet, slammed into a young Venus so hard that it literally knocked its spin backwards. The other theory is less explosive but just as incredible. It points to that super powerful atmosphere, suggesting that for billions of years, the heavy, fast-moving gases acted like a giant brake, dragging on mountains, slowing the planet down to a complete stop, and then slowly pushing it into reverse. And this crazy backward spin, it's really just one piece of a much larger puzzle. It's one of several major unanswered questions that make Venus such a fascinating target for scientists. This planet just breaks all the rules we thought we knew about how worlds are formed. So we've basically got this case file of burning questions. Like, could Venus have actually been the first livable planet in our solar system, with oceans and everything, way before Earth? Are its thousands of volcanoes still active today? Why doesn't it have a protective magnetic field like we do? And what's up with that mystery substance in the clouds that's just soaking up tons of UV light? But here's the really cool part. We're finally on the verge of getting some answers. For the first time in over 30 years, NASA is sending in the detectives to finally crack the case of our lost twin. We're talking about two brand new, really ambitious missions that are part of NASA's Discovery program. They're designed to work together as a team to figure out the ultimate question. How did Earth's twin turn into a furnace? And they're basically going to divide and conquer. First up, you've got Da Vinci Plus. This is so cool. It's a probe that's literally going to dive through the atmosphere, sniffing and analyzing the gases on its way down. Meanwhile, its partner Veritas will stay in orbit, but it's got this incredible radar that can see right through the clouds and map the entire surface in stunning 3D for the very first time. And the best part is, this isn't some science fiction for the distant future. We're talking soon. These missions are set to launch sometime between 2028 and 2030. It's kicking off what everyone is starting to call the Decade of Venus, a whole new era of exploration. I mean, the potential for what we could find here is just huge. There's a great quote from NASA scientist Tom Wagner who said, "The data from these missions will be so game-changing, it will be as if we have rediscovered the planet. We're literally going to have to rewrite the textbooks on this." And that really leaves us with one last big thought. Because when we study how a world so much like our own became a toxic inferno, we're not just looking at a distant alien world. We're looking at a ghost of what could have been. It's a stark reminder of how fragile a planet's climate can be, and maybe, just maybe, it holds some really important lessons for the future of our own home.